Hi everyone, Sat here. So in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how we can do remote device testing using our phone inside the editor. So you can see here on the game window that I'm actually using my phone in my room, and I am looking through my phone and it's creating a floor as I scan around, and we can see that in that ground plane appearing in our scene window and also on our game window. And I can tap using the mouse on the ground and even move using that place object code an item, so in this case a cube, keeping it really simple, onto that place onto that ground. And we can see it in the editor. We can even see the trackables, different trackable AR planes here. So this is something new that Unity have been working on. It's actually experimental, so it's not officially out, and I wouldn't say buggy because that's not really fair to say. It's still a work in progress. I think that's a better way of phrasing it, because it's tough to get things right, and they're testing things at the moment. So this isn't something that you necessarily have to know how to do, and it's not perfect. But I wanted to show it to you, and I wanted to, just in case you feel like giving it a shot. And I think it can help in certain cases. Like you could see how I could see the trackable surfaces, and I think in some cases you might get a bug or two and just not be able to debug it unless you can kind of see this. So I think it's really helpful, even as it is. Now there are some issues with it, and a lot of those you can see on the official page. So here you can see on the official Unity page, they've got a page dedicated to it. They've got, I'm basically just going to walk through this during this tutorial, and you can see people have noticed some issues and some errors, and I'll talk through some of those as well, that they're working on to fix. So this is not a finished, not completely finished yet. It's still in experimental, but I still think it's really useful to know. And as things progress, this will be released officially with ARFoundation as well. So I'm going to work through this in this project. I'll talk you through it step by step, and hopefully this helps you out. And as always, I'll package this up as well and put it onto the course material for those of you who have bought the course. And if you haven't bought the course, you can grab that from Udemy, and if you don't want to, that's okay. I'll talk you through every step anyway as we get along. Okay, and Happy New Year, by the way. I hope you had a good start to the year, and yeah, let's get started. So I've made a blank project. I'm using 2018.3.0 F2, and this is a completely blank project. There's nothing in it at all. We are going to now add some packages to this. So I'm going to go to Windows and Package Manager, or Window Package Manager, and I'm going to go to Advanced, and I'm going to click Show Preview Packages so we can add in ARFoundation. So we'll add in ARFoundation before we add in the additional remote stuff. So let's go and do that now. And just so you can see, actually, it will be version preview 22. Okay, so I went ahead and installed ARFoundation, and not just to save time, I don't want to bore you, I also installed the AR Core XR plugin and the AR Kit one, just in case I want to test it on an iPhone later on. This will just be an Android one for now, a tutorial for now, but it should work on AR Kit as well. So we've done that. Now there should be an AR remote one here, but it's not showing, and the reason for that is because we need to make some adjustments to our manifest document for our Unity project. So to do that, we have to go to our directory that we saved our project in. So this was Unity Remote Tutorial. We want to go to Packages, and we have our manifest.json file there. Then we just want to open this up in Visual Studio. So I've got Visual Studio opened already, so I'll just drag this in, and it opened up in over here. There we go. So we've got a whole bunch of our dependencies here, our existing ones, and these are the ones that some of these are the ones that we added in now, like ARFoundation. Should be XR stuff here, AR Core, ARFoundation, there we go, and AR XR AR kit. And what we can see is, I'll just move this to the side, we won't need this anymore either, is in this document excuse me, in this document that we have online, they've really nicely laid out how we can do this. So it just says first add com.unity.xr.remoting, and this is the current version that you have, preview 10. So we can add this here now as well. So I'll go ahead and I'll just I'll add it to the end. So if I'm going to add it at the end, I have to make sure I add a comma here to the last one, and then add that one there, and then also just delete this comma. I could have just put this higher up, and that would have worked as well. So we've got that there, that's fine, that's working so far. And then we also want to add in this registry part here. So on their one, they've got an example here. This is just this, you don't put this into your manifest document, this part. This is just an example of what else you might have in there. So we're going to take this registry part. We can see it at the end of dependencies here, starting bit here, and the end of it here. We want to put this here. So let's copy this. Let's make sure we do this correct. It's a bit fiddly, this kind of stuff, but we can see dependencies finishes here, and then we're going to have to add a comma and make sure we've got the registry bit here. And I believe, yep, there's no comma here. I don't think we need this full stop. I think that's just an error in the code, in the upload there of so we just ignore that for now. And if we now save this and we go back into our Unity project, we'll see that it's starting to resolve some of those packages and install XR remoting as well. So let's take a look at that once it's done. Okay, so that's done now, and we've got packages here, and in our packages, a lot of this will look familiar to you. We've got ARFoundation, AR Core, and AR Kit, but also at the bottom we now have XR remoting. So this is kind of cool. It's a brand new folder that we've got here, and the guys at Uni have done an awesome job actually. Honestly, they've done a cool job, because they've also added in a sample scene for us that we can use to build onto our phone, and it will give us stuff like the IP address so that we can connect our device to Unity. And they give a little example here of what that looks like. I'd recommend you have a look at this as well so you can see how that works. So I'll talk you through it now though. So what we can do now that we have this, is there's a new menu at the top. I'm sorry you can't see it here, but it says AR tools. So if I click that here, I can see remote window. So if I press remote window, a new little window comes up here, and I can put this above there like this. Now if it says 127.0.0.1, that means it's like a local host. So if my phone is connected to my laptop or your PC or whatever via a USB, then you can press connect and it will connect using this. If you don't have it done like that, you have to get the IP address that your phone is to connect to your phone. So there's a way to do that as well. And again, like I said, they did an amazing job of doing that. Of making that easy for us by giving us a sample scene. So if we go to XR remoting, and then we go to the remoting folder here, there's a scenes folder. So the first thing we want to do is we want to put in our remoting app, remoting scene into our app. I'm going to remove this sample scene here, and then I'm going to go to build settings, and I'm going to take in this remoting app and put it in there. I don't know why that didn't add, so I'm just going to hit add open scenes, and we've got that there now, and that is our first scene. And I'm going to build this scene to our phone. So it's what we need is we have to have this remoting app APK built onto our phone to be able to do this. If you don't have this built onto your phone, this will not work. None of this stuff will work. So they also supply this APK in a Google Drive here. I tried to do that, for some reason it wouldn't open on my phone. I don't know why, but building this to my phone did work, right? So I just went to File, build settings and build and run. Now I know this isn't going to work now because this is on PC, Mac and Linux standalone, and we need to change that. So we need to go to Android because I'm building for Android and hit switch platform. And we also need to go ahead and change some of the player settings. So we need to change the package name. So I'll just put my name and I'll do remote tutorial here. And then I'll change the minimum API level to 8. And there's a few other things, like I think multi-threaded doesn't work. Let's try that. I'm pretty sure I've missed something, but let's try building it and running it to my phone. Okay, so now it's going to ask me to save it as well. So let's create a new folder called builds. And just call this remote tutorial test. Oh, sorry, just do remote tutorial. It doesn't matter what you save this really, but just try to save it remote because you'll end up searching for this APK on your phone as well. Okay, so let's do as builds and save it and see if we get an error or not. Oh, no, I haven't done the package name. What did I do wrong? Must have done something silly there. I wonder if it's because, is that a full stop or comma? That's a comma. So it's got to be a full stop. Rookie mistake by me there. Someone with a keen eye probably noticed that. So well done to you. But did you notice the next mistake I made? Or did I make a mistake? I'm sure I must have missed something. Oh, maybe I didn't. It looks like it's going to build. Great. Okay, so once that builds to your phone, it's gonna ask you for permissions for the camera. Hit accept, and then you'll see this next screen, and it will have an IP address in that, and that is the IP of your phone. If you want to connect to your phone remotely without a USB connection, so over Wi-Fi, you would put that IP address that it's giving you in this box here. So as I said before, I'm not going to be doing it that way. I'm going to be doing localhost and connected via USB, just because it's faster for me via USB rather than over Wi-Fi. Maybe it's my connection. Maybe things are just a bit slow at the moment. Again, it's experimental, so we'll have to see and give it time. But you should try both. I've tried both. It might be different for everyone, but I'm going to be, for this tutorial, I'm not going to be using the IP address that you can see on my phone there. I'll be using this one, the local one. Again, you should try both and see what that's like for you. Disconnect your USB if you use the IP address from the phone and the one that it gives you from the app. Okay, so let's continue now. So we've done that. We built that on our phone. So the way this works is we're going to now create a regular sample augmented reality scene, an app here, and we'll take this sample scene actually, and we'll just really quickly take some parts of the remote app and just put it in here. So we'll get rid of the direction light and the main camera from this sample scene, and we'll take the AR session origin from here. We'll just drag it straight into sample scene. I'm being a bit cheeky here. You can build this from scratch. You may have seen, if you've seen some other tutorials of mine, then you'll see that there's tutorials where I break this down. And what I'll do is I will remove this scene, but I will make sure I do not save it because I've just removed the important stuff from this. So hit don't save. And now in our sample scene, we have AR session origin, we have our AR session, and we have an event system. I don't think we need this. I'm going to leave it in though because we're going to be tapping on this screen. I think we could do without this, but let's just leave it in there for now. Okay, so what we want to do now is we want to take we're going to create this basic scene here that they have, which is a cube in front of our camera. We'll start off simple, and then when we do remotely, we want to be able to see that cube in the real world via our phone when it's connected. So let's go ahead and create a cube, 3D object cube, and let's move that in front of the camera like that. And I think we can just reduce the size of it a little bit to 0.1. I'll bring it a little bit closer again, about there. Okay, so it should be in front of the camera now when we start up our phone, directly in front of it, and it should, everything should work now. Now usually in the old tutorials, if you've been following me, I actually switch from solid color to skybox so I can just see what's going on. Now that won't work here in this particular case. We need it to be solid color. So let's leave it as solid color. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to remote that we have here. I am going to click on show advanced options, and here it says camera to stream. I'm going to drag in AR camera here like so. So now we have AR camera in our camera to stream. And what I'm going to do now is the steps is I've got my phone connected to my laptop. I am going to now reopen that app, or if it's still open from before, that's fine. The one where it says, it should say waiting for connection at the bottom. There's an IP address, but we're going to ignore that IP address at the bottom because I'm not using it. Or you could put it in here if you have not got your phone connected via USB, which is fine as well. So we've got our phone connected via USB with this host, or you don't have it connected by USB and you've got the IP address on your phone in here instead. We've dragged our camera in here. Now we're going to hit play. Now our app is running on our phone. There's no errors. Now on remote, I've still got that green screen on my phone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit this connect button now. And we've got the app there. I can't see the phone. I can't see the cube for some reason. I wonder why that is. Is it too small maybe? Oh, there we go. It was too small. I'm not sure why I couldn't see it, but there you go. It's there though, and you can see already actually that, I mean, even though it was too small and I couldn't see it, I think that little debugging in the window was a really good example of how useful this tool is already. Immediately you can see how useful that is, and it worked by doing just by hitting connect. So a few things you might notice, right? I'm pointing at this cube and it works. There's no floor scanning at the moment because we haven't added in any plane tracking stuff yet to the session. But that's okay. Now my phone, the phone in my hand, right, that I'm looking at showing me this camera, on it is a completely blank white screen. So if you have that as well, it's okay. It's nothing to panic about. That's what we're working with at the moment. Also, if you tap on that screen, nothing will happen. Now we haven't coded anything for any touch events yet, but it's also something to note that the touch events through our phone don't work yet either. So I am going to stop this now. That's basically the AR remote working now. So well done for getting this far. So let's take things a little further now. Let's go ahead and go back to our session origin and let's add in the AR plane manager script. Now it doesn't have a plane prefab, so let's create one of those as well by just right clicking here, going down to XR and going to AR default plane, and you can also do that by, I believe, by going component XR. Maybe not. Maybe you can't do that. Oh, your game object, I should say, game object XR and then AR default plane. So I've got that there now, and I'm going to go and create a prefab of that in our assets folder. And then I'm going to go back to our AR session origin and drag that prefab here. Now, if we run this code again on our phone, and we don't have to build again, we're not building anything. We only built once, and that was that remote one. We're not going to build again, because if we build again, it would actually overwrite the remote one on our phone, so we don't really want to do that. And just so you know, in future, you probably want to, if you are going to start building a project, you don't want to use this project again. Otherwise, you'll keep, anytime you build something else to your phone, you'll overwrite this. So don't use this project for anything else really, except for this remote app. And for this sample scene, you can always add the remote AR stuff to any project you want by adding in those dependencies in the manifest, and then you would get this up, and you'd also be able to run it on your phone. Anyway, so let's play this now and connect it and see what that additional ground looks like now, by hitting connect once this loads up. All right, and we can see that the floor is already coming up, which is great. So we've got our trackable ground plane here, and we can see that in our trackable plane here. And also, if I click on that trackable plane and I go to mesh renderer, we can see the materials is the debug plane here. Now, the first time I did this, it was actually pink. It wasn't that, and it was pink because it was missing a reference. So you can always add this, drag this in if it's missing it into the prefab for the trackable AR default trackable prefab, or you could create a new material like we usually do. Something to remember though is, or something to note is that even if your material is transparent with an alpha of 2 or something, it will still show up as a fully rendered, almost as if it wasn't transparent on your, while you're looking at it through your device. So it's not bugged out or anything, it's just how it is. And something else to notice is if you click off of the remote tab, it pauses the feed, right? So now it looks like it's frozen, but it's not. It's just because I'm not on the remote tab. So it's something else to notice. So we've got a trackable field. We've got a ground plane, which is really cool. So why don't we go ahead and see if we can place something on this ground plane like we were doing before. Let me just find this cube again. I think it's, there we go. It's kind of off in the distance. And what I can do is just, I mean, this is what I really like about it. I can just copy the transform of this now, come out of play mode and paste it in. I mean, that's great. I mean, it won't be in that exact position because it obviously depends on where the camera is looking when you first start your phone. But let's just see what it looks like actually now that I did that. I mean, it's really, I just think it's really useful to be able to do this and see in such a quick way. I don't have to build it to my phone. I can just press play, press connect, and look, it's roughly there now, which is really great. I think that's amazing. This saves so much time. So, all right, now let's add in a script. So the script is going to be the place on plane script. So I've just created place on plane script here, and then I created that, and then I pasted in this code that the bog standard ARFoundation place on plane script that comes with every the sample project from ARFoundation. I've pasted that in there, and now I'm just going to create a quick prefab of a cube that we are going to use to place on the prefab. I'm going to make this 0.1. I'm going to create a parent object for it, and then just raise this Y of it a little bit higher. Make sure this is 0 as well. So it should all be 0 apart from the Y, and that looks about right. Just call this parent cube, and then I'll just quickly put this, I won't create a prefab folder, I'll just put this in here, get rid of this, and then put this in there. Now, as I mentioned before, the touch doesn't work on the screen, but there's a way around that. We can just do an additional bunch of code here, which will be this here, which you're looking at now. So I will just in case you haven't bought the course and you want to look at this code and type it in. Again, this is most of this ARFoundation bog standard stuff that comes with it. The only thing that I've added is this code here, and I'll talk you through it really quickly. Just as if import.getMouseButton 0 is pressed, there's a little debug thing here for testing. Creates a raycast. The raycast out, it will look for a collider game object. It prints out the name of the collider game object if this, and then it runs the same code as here, which is moving that. So there's a few things we need to do now once we've got this code in. First thing I'll do is I'll just show you that this AR default plane prefab has a mesh collider, so that's what it's going to be hitting. And the other thing we want to do is just go to our main camera, AR camera, and just change this tag to main camera. And now what should happen is if I press play again and go to remote, and connect this, we've got our app starting up again. And if I find a ground plane floor, I can click using my mouse. I wonder why it hasn't worked. Ah, okay. Well, I know why it's not working. It's because I didn't save it. So let's go back. Let's just hit save. That's embarrassing. I'll leave that in though. I'll leave that in there because I think that's goes to show that I don't do everything right. In case you didn't already know that. So let's hit play and let's try one more time. And again, it doesn't bother me too much because, you know, it's pretty fast to be able to build this, you know, to test this out, I should say, rather than having to build the whole thing out. So if I tap now, there we go. We've got this cube and it's moving around. So now we can actually test things with touch on our phone. Now, obviously, we can't do two-finger touch, but we can still do something, and that's remotely. And you saw me make errors, you saw me change some of the stuff, all live, all via the device, remote device, all via this amazing code that they've already done. It's still an experimental, but it works great for me. I would recommend you check this out. If you like this video, please hit like, leave a comment, subscribe. Also, make sure you like this thread as well. I'm gonna make sure I hit like as well if I haven't done so already. And this is great stuff. And let's look forward to this growing and seeing what comes of it. Again, really quickly, like I said, the touch doesn't work on my phone. There's a white screen there. A few issues, like all the issues that I had actually have been pointed out by all these amazing people that are already working on it in the background as well. So I had a few areas. I had one that involved setting the anti-alias as well. That happened to me as well. To fix that, I just reset my Android. So reset my Unity, and that fixed it. So I hope that helps you. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe. Pick up the Udemy course if you like. If you want to learn a little bit more about placement stuff. It doesn't involve this, but if you want to add this, because it's so experimental, it might not work for everyone. But you might be able to integrate this with that as well. And I will see you in the next video.